In today's lesson, we're going to talk about square roots. Now, before I get into some problems involving square roots, we need to know what a square root really is. So, squaring is the operation of multiplying a number by itself. Square root means to do the opposite operation of squaring, which means to multiply a number by itself. So then you're trying to find what number times itself equals the number you're trying to figure out, or you're given, I should say. So when we're figuring out square roots, it's just the opposite of squaring. So like the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of multiplication is division. The opposite of squaring is square rooting. Now, an important thing we need to know in our class is the list of perfect squares. What a perfect square is a number that when you find the square root of it, you get a nice whole number answer. So one example is 0. The square root of 0. The square root of 0 is 0. The square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 2, there is no number that you can multiply by itself to get 2. So that is not a perfect square. Same thing with 3. There is no number you can multiply by itself to get an answer of 3. What about 4? 2 times 2 is 4. So 4 is a perfect square. 5, no. 6, no. 7, no. Here's what I go at. The next one is 9. 3 squared, which is 9. So for the rest of these, I'm just going to square each of the whole numbers that I know to figure out the perfect squares. 4 squared is 16. 5 squared is 25. 6 squared, 36. 7 squared, 49. 8 squared, 64. Excuse me. 9 squared, 81. 10 squared, 100. 11 squared is 121. 12 squared is 144. We'll stop there. Okay. So those are perfect squares. When you find the square roots of those numbers, you get whole number solutions. All right. So when we're looking at a problem like number 1, we want to find the square root and be able to tell where the square root of 54 lies on the number line. So we look at our perfect squares. So 54 is in between, okay, these two numbers right here, 49 and 64. So we know it's in between 49 and 64. Now, what is the square root of 49? Square root of 49 is 7. The square root of 64 is 8. So the square root of 54 is probably going to be some number that's in between 7 and 8. So like 7.2, 7.3, I don't know. Let's look. The square root of 54 with our calculator. Come on. All right, we're not going to use that calculator. Oh, here we go. 54 square root 7.3. Okay, so that shows that our what we just proved is true. Okay, let's look at negative square root of 13. All right, so 13 is in between 9 and 16. Now, careful with the negatives. I'm going to put negative 16 or negative square root of 16 first, and negative square root of 9 next. All right, so square root of 16 is 4. So this number is in between negative 4 and negative square root of 9 is 3. So it's probably going to be like negative 3.4, negative 3.5, somewhere around there. So we'll check in our calculator. 13 square root, bam, 3.6. So it does lie in between 3 and 4. -3 and -4. Okay, because I have to make this a negative. So the negative happens after. So that is how you find where these square roots are approximately located if it's not a perfect square. All right. So when you're doing these problems, it's really important. You need to memorize this list right here. Okay, this list of perfect squares. So if you know that off the top of your head, it's easy to find where the square roots are located on the number line. All right. Thank you for watching today's video. If you have any questions, please let me know in class.